Okay, guys. It is show 51. I can't even believe it. I'm going to turn this a little bit because I'm putting my feet up on the couch. What do you think of that? This has been a bizarro week. And when I say bizarro, I I can't even believe how much has happened since last Saturday night. I don't even remember where I was last Saturday night. I'm pretty sure we did a show because I was supposed to do something and it didn't work out. So we either did a show Saturday. I would literally have to look. Like that's how crazy the week has been. So I'm going to go back and then I'm going to go forward and then I'm going to spin around. And I'm not even sure the show's going to be a whole hour because let me start out by saying I got vaccinated yesterday. It's my card, vaccinated. And I was a little bummed with myself and that I there's a part of me that didn't want to do it yet. I didn't want to be in the first wave, whatever that meant. I guess because I grew up hearing Billy Joel sing "Children of Thalidomide." It's like, are we going to find out 20 years from now? Now I know that Bill Gates is not spying on me. Hello, I know that. But that being said, they sure did figure these vaccines out pretty quick. So I got the Johnson and Johnson. And here's the funny thing. My mom has been up my hiney sideways. Get a vaccine, get a vaccine, get a vaccine. And then my agents were like, get a vaccine. And then the Improv Comedy Club sent out an email saying, we're going to reopen soon and go indoors. And any comedian that wants to perform will have to have proof of vaccination. So I just said, screw it. Before I could think about it, I made an appointment to go to the CVS. See, I'm talking about it. Now my arm's starting to hurt a little bit. Not really. But so I made an appointment and everything happens for a reason. I went to a CVS near me and this very nice pharmacist, I believe she was Armenian by the name on her tag, and she was so kind. She even asked me, which arm do you want it in? I said, does it make a difference if you're left-handed or right-handed? She goes, you probably don't want to do it in the arm that you write with. Well, that was very helpful. I said, I'm a lefty. She said, I'll shoot you in the right arm. So she did that. She was very nice. I sat there for 15 minutes, almost 20, and then they gave me my card, and I was fine. And then a few hours later, my arm didn't hurt or anything. Still doesn't. But I got a little bit of chills, and then I had a weird night, like I didn't sleep well. And I know that's pretty small potatoes compared to other people, but I couldn't regulate my temperature. You know how you stick your foot out the blanket to regulate? You get just the right amount of foot out or just like this much leg, and then you're the right temperature. There was nothing I could do to get the right temperature. I was just uncomfortable. And I'm sure that most people wouldn't think it had a diuretic effect. I used the restroom last night about 57 times. I was like an old lady on Lasix. Anyway, whatever. Bottom line is, it kind of threw me off a little bit for the remainder of the day. But I'm going to go backwards, and then I'm going to come forwards. So last Thursday, not this previous 48 hours ago, week before that, I was in Phoenix performing a big corporate gig. And on my way to the gig, I took an Uber, and the Uber driver's name was Chris. Very nice man. I'm not one who talks on my cell phone or texts. First of all, I get a little bit car sick. So I was chatting with the Uber driver, which I like to do. It's how you learn about things, and especially in different cities. And so the Uber driver told me that he had West Nile disease. West Nile. He said a little fly, mosquito bites you, and then you feel like your brain is scrambled, like a bomb went off in your head, like little tiny bite, bomb goes off. And he was explaining that he'd had like worst case scenario of West Nile that you can have. And it ran up all of these incredible medical bills. Nicest guy. And he wasn't saying it for me to be like, oh, that's pitiful. We had an amazing discussion. Amazing. And I told him, I'm a comedian. And if for whatever reasons I were to get suddenly, famous, like Tina Fey famous, I would help you with your medical bills because you're such a nice man. And I feel terrible that this happened to you. But he said, don't worry. I've done very well with my side hustle, and I'm a real estate agent, and I'm almost paid off. And I thought, what an amazing person that, during COVID, not only did he not file bankruptcy, which I think a lot of people are doing, but oh, that's funny, Tom, left-handed people. Not only did this man, Chris, not file bankruptcy or take out loans or sit there with a big boo-hoo, he just had an Uber side hustle and was just paying down these astronomical medical bills, was already in the short strokes, and happy. He was a happy man, talking about, hey, I've got grown kids, I've done right by them, me and my wife are good, I'm going to get through this. Like, what an attitude. And then when I told him I was a comedian, he was like, I've always wanted to open mic, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, look, Chris, if you can remember my name, and you'll see it on the little Uber, email me, and I can't pay your medical bills, but I can offer you free mentorship if you decide that you want to go on stage and be a stand-up. Because he kept saying, I've always thought about it. I think I would be good. I have plenty to say. I've sat in the back of comedy clubs. I've gone on open mic. I just haven't done it. And I could tell he just needed a little tiny push. So he went home. He watched all 3 of my specials. By the way, if I haven't said this before, because of COVID, I'm certain all 3 of my specials have been re-released on Amazon Prime. And I have a 4.5 rating and tons of positive comments. It's craziness. A whole new group of people are finding me that never, these things aired on Showtime. Who had Showtime? Not everybody. And now they're on Amazon. And I love it. There's a whole new crop of kids. And a lot of them are kids saying, like, how come I've never heard of you? You're pretty funny. You should think about doing this for a living. I've only been doing it this month. May 31st will be 31 years since I open mic'd. Well, to my delight, I got an email today from Chris. He'd already told me last week. He emailed me like the day after we met and said, I went home, I binge watched your specials. He had so many nice things to say. Well, here we are, 8 days later. He sends me an email and says, what would a mentorship entail? I wouldn't want to waste your time, but I'm thinking of taking you up on your generous offer. Well, I'm super stoked about it. Because to me, if I learned anything during COVID, it's about being of service. It's absolutely 100%. My whole life, I've heard people say, showing up is half of life. It's more than half of life. Just show up. And now I'm on show 51. And I am at, tomorrow, Sunday, will be 414 330s. I was only going to do 40. I've only missed 3 days for minor surgery in 414 days. And the more I show up for you guys, the more things show up for me. See, if people understood that that's the way it works in the Matrix, I am not an altruistic person. I offer these things because I know that what I offer with a glad heart comes back to me. So let's flash forward. So I have several things that I've been cooking, and I can't say some of them yet. But a couple of things happened this week, which were very bizarro. One was that I noticed, and I could be wrong, and I'm hesitant to say it because of Big Brother, but evidently I have a YouTube channel with my name and likeness that's competing with this one that's not me. And it even has my picture. Now, I don't know if it's auto-generated or somebody else. Producer Stanton and I are going to get to the bottom of it. But the fact that so many people watch and enjoy my work, it's a little daunting because I'd rather have them all in one place. But there's something going on in the world that's very encouraging, that people want positivity, which is why I was a little daunted that after I did this, and my mother, who's a nurse, has been up my behind, I said, Mommy, because I'm flying to see her tomorrow, I said, I changed my flight from the morning flight to the evening flight because there's some stuff I got to get done. I was kind of lazy yesterday. And she says, are you on your first shot or your second shot? I said, I'm getting one shot. I did the J&J. So my mother, oh, I wish you hadn't have done that one. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't want to do any of them. But I figure all I want is this, one and done. And you know what? I was a little tired, like I say, and I couldn't regulate my temperature. But I already knew, because I'd made up my mind, that I was going to be fine. And that whatever one I got was going to be the right one. Because I think so much of life is attitude. It's not just showing up, it's attitude. So a couple of great things happened this week. Number one, I have a major television thing going on that I cannot tell you yet. I know I keep saying it, but they keep telling me, you can't say anything yet. But it's really good. And some of you who live in Southern California, I will be able to invite to come to the taping. I just can't tell you what it is or where it is yet, but it's exciting. Then I got a big thing for the Salvation Army. I'm performing for the top brass of the Salvation Army. We're doing a live to tape performance, and then they're going to use that performance and send it out to all of the contributors and important people and people that sit on the board of the Salvation Army. And that means a lot to me because it's all about, again, being of service. But here's what was really wonderful. I'm doing this in my living room right now. I was supposed to be doing it from a hotel room in Laughlin, which I was going to have to drive to 4+ hours each way. And it's plus hours each way. But what ended up happening was, because I was running a fever, slight maybe, and I figured, well, they're going to take my temperature. And if I drive all the way to the casino and they don't let me in or they don't let me perform, I'm going to be upset. So I took 2 aspirin. I waited for my fever. Then I started to leave. And then my GPS said I would get there at 6:45. So I called the booker and I said, I'm going to be there at 6:45. 6:30 show. I'm not the first person up. But he said, well, they're a little concerned. And I was thinking, I don't want to be a jackass or anything, but hey, you're getting me at a fraction of the cost because it was for the sober community. Again, I was going to be of service. I was going to drive all the way to Laughlin and back, $500 in a hotel room, and probably coffee. They usually give me free coffee. But that's a lot of driving for very little money. But it was for the sober community, and that means a lot to me. And I'm sure at some point I'll get to perform for them. But he called me and he said, I hate to have you drive, and then for whatever reasons, you know, you get here too late or you're running a fever again. So why don't you just go home? Yes. Yes. So I feel like I stole a night to spend with my friends because we're friends. I look forward to you guys. And I had put my light ring in my car, and my dog sitter already picked up Nola, and I'm alone in the house, no shoes on, feet up on the couch, just here with you guys. And that makes me so happy. And I would have done the show. And anybody who knows me knows I never say die. I do whatever I have to do. Even if I'm not feeling well, even if my temperature's not regulated, I would have driven to Laughlin. But I didn't have to. So there's a few things that we're going to talk about. And it's probably going to be, oh, cough, cough. No, I'm not coughing. I'm fine. I feel actually wonderful. And actually now, since I took aspirin, my temperature's perfect. But it worked out because I wasn't lying, but I didn't have to go to Laughlin. And that worked out very well. So I sent producer Santon a story about a fish. And the fish is it's a very cool story. What it is that a diver spotted a lost wedding band. Oh, is Elon on tonight? Oh, is that what you were putting up? Oh, perfect. He was on last week. Have I lost a week? Anyway, I think, like I say, I'm confused. I literally don't even know if I did the show last week on Saturday night or Sunday night. My whole last 2 weeks are a blur of performing. I went to Vegas. I went to Phoenix. I came home. I performed 3 Zooms. I did a Zoom yesterday for the school board. And the funny thing about that Zoom is that they said, we want you to do your show. we're going to tell everybody to send their kids out of the room or put in earbuds. And I have not done a Zoom show where they've given me no parameters. And the funny thing is that most comedians don't like Zoom because they feel like, oh, you know, we don't get the immediate response and people are on mute and they don't laugh. Well, it's not stand-up. Having been on the radio for years, I know what it's like to be in a studio by myself. So I don't need the immediate response. And I know stand-up. I know my material. So it's kind of a combination of radio and stand-up is what a Zoom show is. And rather than worry about what I don't have, I focused on what I do have, which is I do have the ability to look at the gallery view and make comments on people's homes and backgrounds, and people can put questions in the chat and they can actually raise their hand in their little box and ask me a question. You can't do that at a comedy club. You can't just raise your hand and say, hey, comedy girl. So I figured, let's just enjoy ourselves. Let's do what we can't do in a comedy club. We're on a Zoom. So I did a super racy show. It was so much fun. I mean, it was down and dirty. And some man put in the chat, can I be your fourth husband? Well, the answer to that, of course, is no. So I'm hoping that at some point, producer Stanton can post the picture of the fish, because then I'm going to tell you a story about the fish. Okay, here it is. If he can't, anyway. There it is. There's the fish. Snorkeler spots man's lost wedding ring wrapped around fish's body in Australia. So you see, you guys can look at the picture. There's a little wedding band and a skinny little fish got right in the wedding band. That looks like a dirty sign doing that. And so here's what's interesting is that the snorkeler is going to try and catch the fish and return the wedding band. Now, the chances that he even saw the fish with the wedding band are pretty slim. Pretty slim. But the fact that he thinks that that school of fish is going to be hanging around in the same place and he can net the fish and return. I mean, look at that picture. That is the coolest picture. And I'm sure that the fish isn't happy about it. It weighs him down. He's a little dude. I bet that band is heavy. It's probably heavy sometimes for the men wearing them, but that's not the point. The point is that I have a story about this and what it means and what it could mean and chance and what are the chances, and nothing is random. So here's the story. In April of 1995, April of 1995, maybe 96. It's a long time ago. So don't fault me for 25 or 26 years ago. I think it was 96. It was 96. It definitely was 96. I was visiting my ex-husband's family in Minnesota. And we had a late winter snowstorm, like April. It can snow in Minneapolis in April, like a lot. In fact, there's a Prince song that's beautiful on Under the Cherry Moon album that says sometimes it snows in April. And so my ex-husband was getting ready to drive me to a gig in the downtown Twin Cities on the Minneapolis side. And he was scraping with his side of his hand like this. He was just knocking snow off the windshield because it had snowed during the time we were visiting his grandparents. And when he did this, his wedding band flew off his fingers because, you know, cold makes your hand constrict. And he literally saw it. He said, sparkle in the air, end over end. And then it fell into a snowbank on the side of the road. Now, not the same as the ocean, but a snowbank. Well, he had it in his mind superstitiously that that was a very bad omen for our marriage. Now, the reality is there were way worse omens than that. I mean, it was a challenge. We'd been married since the summer of 93. So we weren't even 3 years in, and there were a lot of challenges. But the loss of the wedding band terrified him. So he spent more time than he should or could with a flashlight. This was before cell phones, just like digging until I was going to be late for the gig. And again, this is before Uber. So we just had to let it go. And he was devastated. It just wouldn't leave him alone. It haunted him. And so he, just kind of let it go. And I kept reassuring him, we'll get you another one. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything. And I think even like the next day we bought him a nice silver band just so he'd have something on his finger. I said, it's okay. I kept repeating, it's okay. It's okay. But he did not think it was okay. And he was very, very upset. Well, many, many months later, he got a letter in the mail from his grandfather. And it had his crushed, evidently a snowplow had gone over it. And somehow, some way, maybe his grandfather just didn't give up. And he just kept looking and looking and looking. And the thaw came and the summer came. And somehow, some way, his grandfather found that wedding band in the street, run over by a snowplow. We had to take it and they heated it up and put it on a mold and popped it out. And he got it back. We still got divorced anyway. But the finding of the ring meant so much to him and made him so very happy. And the reality is we're still friends. What failure is defined so many different ways. And I've never failed at anything. I just found ways to not do things. And this week in particular, and especially that story about that fish brought it home for me, because I've dedicated myself, whether I knew that it was a full-on dedication or not, to doing this thing that is inside of me. Because people talk about it, especially now with all this new age stuff, this woo-woo, if you will, about being, self-realized and self-actualized. Well, the big part of being self-actualized is the first part, act. And interestingly enough, this last 2 weeks have been the first 2 weeks, even though I've been to Florida and I performed, but it's been the first 2 weeks where I have felt the winds of emergence. Because even in Florida, people didn't know, do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? It's Florida. Some people do. You can eat indoors. But now the CDC is mandated. If you're vaccinated, don't have to wear a mask outdoors. And even in California, there's eating indoors. And things are changing. And I'm actually hearing bosses. I played comedy club 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks. It seems like a million years that I was in Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, and it's been 2 weeks. And we were indoors, and many people had their masks off while they were eating and drinking. And it seemed almost like I hear like 1940s song, seems like old times. And those of you who do the 330 know that I listen to 40s Junction all the time in my car. And the reason why I listen to 40s Junction is because there was this feeling when we were hunkered down that we're all in this together. And in the 40s, we had this global event known as World War II. And I love the music, don't sit under the apple tree and until you hear it from me, and the ink spots and I'll be seeing you again in all the old familiar places. This music has this cohesive, patriotic, again, not political, patriotic, we're all in this together. And as this week unfolded, and I got all these marvelous calls to do the school board and to do, the Salvation Army, and that I'm getting another television deal. The 330s became more important to me, the consistency. In fact, this week was a weird, screwy week because Monday, I accidentally hit the wrong button and did the 330 from my personal page versus Monique Marvez official fan page. And I kept wondering, what's wrong? I'm not seeing the same people. I saw some people. And then on Thursday, I was in a restaurant with very bad cell service, and people were immediately messaging me, are you okay? What happened? What happened to the 330? And what I know to be true is that as I emerge, as we emerge, I don't want us to forget the parts that were in a weird way mixed blessings and complete blessings. Like even at the comedy club, they were complaining that they can't find people that want to work because of the fact that so many people have been locked up for so long and either gotten used to unemployment, which has been extended. And I read an article this week, and I have news stories, but this isn't what Talk of Our Times is about. We're home alone, guys. And I have to tell producer Stanton, and I apologize. Can you see my living room? I wish I could. I have to tell producer Stanton, I did not watch Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live. And evidently he got mixed reviews. And Dave Chappelle had something to say. But that doesn't mean anything to me because I think Dave Chappelle's gone a little for a minute or two. He'll come back. He's a very funny and intelligent man. I know him. I've hung out with him. He's a special animal. So I'll be interested in seeing. I'm actually going to watch and pay attention. Oh, there it is. Stanton posted it. I will watch it, Stanton. I promise. And I'll see what the people had to say about it. Evidently, oh, there it is. Very cool. Oh my. Super Mario? All right, I'm in. That's an unfortunate choice of costumes for Mr. Musk. And here's more. Oh, oh, wow. He did several sketches. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you, producer Stanton. I will watch that. I promise. And I will comment, probably privately. Wow. He was in a lot of sketches. He looks good with a beard. He should think about keeping it. He looks good as a doctor and as a doctor with a beard. Although, oh my goodness, there's more? Just so you guys know, in case you didn't know this, producer Stanton is having a bromance with Elon. He has a full-on man crush. All right, I will watch them, producer Stanton, I promise. I do. Thank you. Back to me now for just a moment. Because I don't think this is going to be a full show just because it's been a very full week. And between the full week and the relief of not having to drive to Laughlin and the vaccine, I think, and not having to walk my dog, I'm probably going to be asleep 17 to 22 minutes. Oh, let me not leave out not having a great night's sleep after I finish this live stream. So let me get back to Ventura Harbor for a reason, which is that I read an article this week on the fact that McDonald's, unprompted, is raising the minimum wage within McDonald's. And I think that what's happened, like there was a bloodless coup where people realized that when people had an option to not work and to collect unemployment versus work for minimum wage and maximum annoyance, that they were going to, stay home. Duh. But also keep in mind, guys, that people get accustomed to things. It's not even about the money. That's why I'm talking about emergence, what it's going to feel like. Some of you, I know that Jose Ortiz is on here. There it is. Oh, Jose just posted today's. I wish Elon Musk sponsored me. I'm a fan. I think he's done some remarkable, amazing things. I think that some people don't understand his bluntness or the way he moves through the world, or maybe part of his message, but there's no denying the man's track record. And life is not a popularity contest. He's the richest man on earth for a reason. And I think, and this is the key word, as we discuss the word emergence, is alignment. I think a lot of things aligned while we were on lockdown. I think a lot of people reevaluated their lives, their jobs, what they were going to go back to, what they had the option to go back to, what they didn't want to go back to, even if they had the option to go back to it. See, that's why I feel like my life is not a failure. in any way, shape, or form, going back to my ex-husband or the wedding band flying off or the divorce or divorces for that matter. Because I love what I do. I'm willing to drive great distances to do it for very little money because I am in alignment with my purpose. It is easy for me to be self-actualized because it's easy for me to act, because the thing that I'm doing is the thing that I want to do. It's the thing that I was designed to do. It's the thing that I've done for 31 years, which is why it's very easy for me to offer mentorship to this random Uber driver, because it's all I've got to give him, so that potentially one day he goes on stage and maybe it goes well the first time, but even if it doesn't, maybe he sees that it could go well and he keeps doing it. And there you go. You had the opportunity to change the trajectory of another human being's life just by doing what you do. See, all of you have something that you do, or that you should do, or that you could do. And I'm not one to should on you, but that all of you have maybe a side hustle that you developed during COVID, or you thought about developing it, or you figured I've got nothing better to do than do decoupage or whatever. And then you got good at it. Maybe you started putting your decoupages on Etsy, or maybe you're thinking about it. Like the Uber driver saying, I've even gone so far as to go to open mic and sit in the back of the room. So he's this close to doing something that would mean something to him and bring him a lot of joy. And as we emerge and things go back to whatever semblance of whatever the new normal is, as masks come off, as people go back to work, as people that can't go back to work find other work, let's keep what the good part is. I'm going to keep the 3:30. I'm going to go as long as I can. I'm going to keep this live stream. I'm going to go as long as I can. Next week, I don't have a performance on Saturday night. So I promise we're going to do an 8 o'clock show. I'll go for the full hour, and I'll have news stories other than a fish with a wedding band around his waist. And I'll have watched Elon Musk, so I'll have what to say about the state of Saturday Night Live in general. Because to be honest, I literally have not watched Saturday Night Live at all. Like, not even the sketches on YouTube. I watched the 40th anniversary a few years ago. And other than the 40th anniversary a few years ago, it's been over 20 years since I watched Saturday Night Live. There's a whole new cast of people that have come and gone that I've never even heard of. I see their faces and I'm like, oh, I think that person's on Saturday Night Live. I think I saw a couple of sketches that were in the general public because it was Tina Fey making fun of Sarah Palin. And even that was 08. 08. So 08 was the last time I saw anything. And it was Tina Fey being Sarah Palin. So there you have it. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what Elon does. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what we do. I'm looking forward to see what I get to do. Do fish have wastes? They have waste and W-A-I-S-T. I don't think they have W-A-I-S-T. I think they have W-A-S-T-E. If you've ever owned a fish, which we had goldfish when we were kids, me and my brothers, we had minnows and goldfish that we bought at the state fair. Actually, one time my brother was cleaning the fish tank and one of his fish jumped out. And while he was looking around for it, he didn't realize that he'd accidentally stepped on it and skidded across the kitchen floor. It was just a streak of goldfish. He was beside himself. He was pretty heartbroken. We didn't do that well with pets. We weren't good with pets, except like traditional, like dogs and cats. We were not good with fish. You had toads, Michael Blair. We were not good with fish. We were very bad with guinea pigs. Very bad. We were so with rabbits. We had guinea pigs, rabbits. I had a mink that's like a ferret. I actually had a mink named Minky. My uncle used to work at an exotic pet store. So every once in a while we'd get a random leftover exotic pet And he had a monkey named Pedro Gomez, cute monkey. And I mean, a real monkey, not a little spider monkey, like a real monkey. Pedro was like a zoo monkey at my grandmother's for quite some time. I don't remember what happened to Pedro Gomez, but I digress. Back to the fish. If you've ever owned fish, you know that they have waste because it like trails them around while they're swimming and then it drops to the bottom of the tank. So let me bring it all on home. Is that the last 2 weeks have been a blur. The ring was around the fish's shoulders. It could very well have been, or around their hips, or I remember when I was a little girl, we had a little rhyme. We'd say, a snake's belt slips because he has no hips. So, hey, Monica, it's good to see you. It's so wonderful. And I'm going to reach out to your friend again so that I can get up to, I think it's Bossier City. We're going to make that happen. So I've not failed at anything. I've just figured out ways to not do things. But the fact that I am anxious to get back to what I've always done, to the point where I went and got myself vaccinated, even though I really, really didn't want to. But hey, I want to participate in the swim of life. Whatever I got to do to get back in the swim, I'll do it. And, I'm excited about getting back out there, like full force. Because to me, a big part of it is Southern California. It is the camaraderie of the comedy clubs. It is seeing that the improv is coming back, that the store is already doing shows out on the balcony. I pray I get an email from Hermosa Beach soon, Hermosa Comedy and Magic. I would hate for that to stay shuttered, or the Ice House. That's what I do. That's what I've done for 31 years. That's what I'm going to continue to do. But what I'm excited about is that this whole nother experience is still going to happen for quite some time. There's going to be hybrids. There's going to be Zooms. There's going to be, it's like mixed martial arts. There's going to be all different ways of doing what I do. And then on top of it, I'm going to continue to do the 3:30. I'm going to continue to be here with you. And as more opportunities like this television thing unfurls, it's like spinning plates. I just get to do what I do more, and with more people, and in so many different ways. And that makes me happy. And I hope that I've given you some things to think about alignment in your own life. Are you stuck in some sort of narrative about what used to be, or when you were successful, or when you were involved with a company that was successful? First time I saw you was the Divas of Comedy. Been following you since. You're proof that hard work. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's such a lovely thing to say. But my question to you guys, and I ask myself this question all the time, and I'm grateful that the answer is no, no, no. I'm not stuck. I am not attached to anything. I'm connected to everything, but I'm not attached to any narrative of, oh, I remember when I had this boyfriend and we were so in love and we were so happy, or I remember when I lived in that big house, or these are all true things. There's been times in my life where I made more money than now, or I lived in a bigger house than now, or I had a boyfriend who adored me as opposed to just being alone with my dog for now. But I'm not stuck there, because I know, like I know my name, that the best is yet to come for me. And I'm praying for you too. But you have to believe it. And you have to get unstuck from whatever story you keep telling yourself about something that is behind you, that was better, that you're never going to be able to recreate. That maybe this isn't your lifetime to be exactly what it is you were designed to be. No. As long as you're on the right side of the dirt, this is your lifetime. This is your chance to get completely aligned. And maybe you're going to go back to a minimum wage job. Maybe you are going to go back to McDonald's, but hey, it pays more now. But that doesn't define you. What defines you is finding that thing that you would drive to Laughlin to do for no money or very little money. That's what I want for you. That's what I wanted for me. And I did the best I could to manifest it. And I'm the happiest girl with no sore arm and a regulated temperature. And that's what I want for you. So next Saturday night, we're going to be together, and it's going to be a full show, and I'll be even happier than I am now. And I'm pretty sure I'll have some news for you. If I don't, I'll whisper it to you, just you. Or I'll say something that rhymes with it. Thank you, Richard. Richard and Mundo. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I met Mundo. I call him that, Edmundo, at Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, and he brought me a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and they lasted for like 10 days. I love flowers. And you're stuck? I used to be a player in life. I hope that's a joke, Mike. I hope when you say player, like, you don't mean like playa, like you were out there with, macking down on the ladies, because that's so 80s. I think that going forward, and I mean, it's Saturday night, so I might get a little bit racy. I look forward to finding in my mind, because I have nothing on the horizon. See, there's never been a time in my life where I've gone this long. And I know what you're thinking. It's not about celibacy. I've had much longer periods of celibacy. I mean, unfortunately, they were during my marriages, but it's not about that. It's about not having anyone on the horizon at all. I have no idea what awaits me, but something awaits me. And I get happy just thinking about, just dwelling in possibility, thinking, what's it going to be like when I finally kiss somebody, or when I finally go on a real date, or anything else behind that. It's Saturday night, but I don't want to get too crazy. I think about that because I think it's going to be awesome. Because just like comedy, I feel like what I do, my understanding, my wisdom has just grown over the years. And especially this year being by myself. I've been by myself for a year alone in this apartment with my dog. I jokingly say in my act, I'm like a certified pre-owned car. I'm like brand new. I'm pretty sure my hymen's grown back. I'm probably a virgin. So without getting too crazy on a Saturday night, I'm pretty excited. Emergence looks good on me. I think it looks good on you too. So until next Saturday, where you get a regular talk of our times with more than just a fish story. You know what you guys are supposed to do. Love hard, forgive harder, and get as happy as you can, as fast as you can. Good night, my darlings. I'll see you next Saturday.